My name is Kathleen Lyons from Rowallan and Slieve Crib Community Twinning Grib. We believe passionately in promoting local history and have commissioned a series of online lectures by historian Horace Reid. Horace has been researching history in County Down since 1990. He often publishes in newspapers and is a frequent speaker at local history societies. Over the years, he has compiled a wide range of richly illustrated slideshows. We are grateful to Newry, Mourne and Down District Council, Choice Housing Ireland for supporting us in this important history project. I will now hand you over to Horace to introduce our presentation.
In this video, I'm going to talk about the history of Spa Wells near Ballynahinch. In the 1700s and the early 1800s, doctors and the general public had a touching faith in the healing powers of mineral waters. So doctors would prescribe a course of drinking or bathing in the mineral waters at locations in England like Cheltenham or Bath, or in County Down, the Spa Wells here. So behind me are two pumps which were installed at Spa in 1810 to pump the water out of the ground. Now I'm going to go through the history of Spa Wells beginning in the early 1700s, how a tourist industry grew up around the wells at Spa. And that tourist industry thrived even more once the railway arrived in Ballynahinch. And the industry as tourism was still going right up until the Second World War. The interesting thing was that Spa became a tourist resort long before Newcastle in County Down. Now this is a video about Spa Wells. So Spa was a place where you came to take the healing waters. And then on top of it being a resort for medical reasons, it became a holiday resort, a place of recreation. And it started that phase certainly from about 1740, and in fact it was still existing as a tourist resort and a place where you enjoyed the benefits of the waters right up until the Second World War. So let's start with the earliest recorded history about the healing effects. So Harrison in 1744 in his History of County Down talked about a Presbyterian clergyman who came to Spa. He said there happened a remarkable instance some years since of a Presbyterian minister who came to this well. He was overrun with a leprous-like eruptions of the skin, which rendered his joints so rigid he could neither hold his bridle nor feed himself. So that sounds familiar, actually. That sounds like psoriasis. And psoriasis, you get a variety where it's psoriasis arthritis, where it affects your joints. So when His Reverence came to the Spa, he got a cure. He returned home supple and clean after having drank the water and bathed in it for a month. There are several other examples of like happy success. So whether there was one or two, the word got around that drinking the Spa water and getting into it and bathing in the Spa water could, in certain instances, cure you. So this is recorded by Walter Harris, 1744. The Presbyterians seem to be rather fond of Spa because, jump forward 50 years, and in 1798, a former Presbyterian moderator came to Spa. The Reverend Dr. William Steele Dixon had been moderator. Now he was minister in Portaferry Presbyterian Church. So, first week of June 1798, he turned up at Spa and said his doctor, he was having a bit of trouble with his gallbladder, you know. So the doctor had recommended he came and had a course of waters at the Spa. And you didn't come, it wasn't like taking a tablet and it would work immediately. If you did a course of the waters, it had to be a week or 2 weeks or a month. So Dr. Dixon turned up at Spa to see what the waters would do for his gallbladder trouble. But the trouble was the army knew better. And they knew that the Battle of Ballynahinch was looming, that rebellion was on the way, and they knew that Dr. Dixon had been nominated as the Adjutant General for the rebel army. So one day he came back from Spa and he found the Castlewell yeomen outside the door. He told them the story about his gallbladder trouble, and they said, "We don't believe you, Dr. Dixon. Try on these handcuffs." And they took him away, and he spent the next 5 years interned on suspicion of rebellion. The painting here is very interesting. It shows a lot of details from Spa. It shows the assembly rooms. It shows the pump house for the waters. It shows a map for the maze. It shows all the invalids. On the left-hand side, it shows Echo Hall. The trouble, and it shows Steele Dixon being arrested by the yeomen. The trouble is that none of these pieces of the jigsaw fit together properly. Steele Dixon was arrested in 1798, but the assembly rooms, they weren't erected until 1840. But still, it's a nice, happy mixture. The other thing is that Steele Dixon wasn't arrested at Spa. He went to the Spa to take the waters, but he was actually arrested in Armstrong's Inn in Ballynahinch on the corner of the square where you see a replacement building now. He rode out from Ballynahinch twice in the day to take the waters at Spa. And now we have another Presbyterian who turns up at Spa, and this is Dr. William Drennan. His father was the minister of Rosemary Street Presbyterian in Belfast, and Dr. Drennan was advanced for his day, and he provided the first smallpox vaccination ever in Belfast and introduced it in Clifton House at 1782. Now, medicine wasn't terribly advanced in the 1700s, so you tried everything, and one of the things you tried was the healing waters. And that went on in England, and it went on in Ireland. In England, you'd go to Cheltenham or you'd go to Bath and drink the waters, or you'd plunge yourself into the waters, and that was supposed to help your health. And if you wanted to do it near Belfast, then the place to go was Spa Ballynahinch. And the doctors believed that this would be good for you. And here's one of the most advanced doctors in Belfast, and he believed that taking the waters would be good for you. So in 1808, he and the wife and kids, they came to Ballynahinch for 2 weeks to take the waters. We all drink the water in the old common way, that is down the throat. What I mean is you don't put it in any other orifice. We have all good appetites with plenty to eat, although there's a scarcity of vegetables. Now, there was no hotel then, so what you did was you stayed full board with a local farmer. Our landlord, he says, and his wife have 10 children. They married when he was 60 and she was 16. His brother next door has as many. So Dr. Drennan's landlady was a very busy lady. She had 10 children and she was looking after an extra family as boarders. We have a large flight of pigeons, 3 flocks of geese, each of 11. We have a sow with a litter of 13 pigs. So everybody, both animal and human, around Spa were busy multiplying at a rapid rate. There are 5 hens with an adequate cock and a dozen chickens, 2 mares, each with having a foal and a brood of turkeys. The bees swarmed yesterday, which makes the 3rd swarm this season. Of creeping things there are fleas in squadrons, and a strong suspicion of bugs. I drowned 9 fleas the first night of my lodging here. So I'm not sure if Dr. Drennan would give a recommendation to the Northern Ireland Tourist Board for the 5-star luxury accommodation at Spa with the fleas thrown in free. Now, being a good Presbyterian, he wanted to go to church on Sunday, but the tourist industry at Spa was developing, but it wasn't that developed yet, so there was no church in the vicinity. So the nearest church was first Ballynahinch. So on Sunday he travelled into Ballynahinch. I went to Strong's Meeting House. I liked the old psalm singing, where every one of the congregation joined in as performers. So no organ music at that stage. It was just psalms and paraphrases organised by the precentor. Now, things moved on a bit after 1800. The Kers, David Kerr bought the Montalto estate, and that included Spa. So Kerr was a rich man, lived in London, decided he would buy a country estate, bought Ballynahinch. Being rich, he spent a lot of time at Bath in England, and he observed that Bath had 2 purposes. Number one, it was a health resort for invalids. And number 2, if the invalids came and they stayed for a month taking the waters, and they brought their relatives with them, they would be almighty bored at the end of a month. So what you had to do in a health resort was provide entertainment for the invalids and their families. So as well as Bath being a health resort, it became a social resort. And here you see the assembly room at Bath, where you had all kinds of dancing and music. Look at the size of the orchestra pit for starters. So that gave David Kerr an idea. David Kerr was very good at making money. And if they had a spa at Bath in England, and it attracted tons of tourists and made lots of money, well, you know, on his new property in Ballynahinch, there was a spa there. So why didn't he turn it into a tourist resort and make lots of money for the Kers? So that's what he did. So it used to be you put a bucket in the wells at Spa and hold out the water. So David Kerr installed the very latest technology at Spa, and this was a pump which pumped the iron or the sulphur water out of the wells. And there's a brass plate on the pump at the top, and if you read it, it says, erected by David Kerr, Esquire, in 1810, J. Brahma and Sons, Facet, London. That is to say, J. Brahma and Sons made the pump in 1810. Now, Joseph Brahma, let me tell you, invented the flushing lavatory in 1778. So this is the very latest high-tech technology that David Kerr is importing to Spa in 1810. Next development was, well, it hadn't got a church. Well, you'd have to have a church. So the Church of Ireland were asked to erect a church for the tourists. If you couldn't erect one at Spa because Spa was within Montalto parish, and you already had a parish church in Ballynahinch. So the compromise then was to build a new parish church across the border in Mocker Hamlet parish. So that worked out okay. You went to Spa, you stayed at Spa during the week, you took the waters. On Sunday you went out the Dunmore Road and round Macaulay's Loch and worshipped in the Church of Ireland on a Sunday. Next development, the first David Kerr was dead by then. This is his son, He continues to develop the spa complex, so he installs a maze, a planted maze. And the idea was you drank the waters, and then you went for a walk in the maze, and then you come back, and then they give you some more water, and then you walked around the maze a bit more. So it was to make the drinking of the waters be more palatable and something to pass the time and keep you amused. Next thing, he opened the spa assembly rooms. Now, lately it's called the Roadhouse, but in David Kers' time, it was the assembly rooms. So that's where all the tourists from all the boarding houses around Spa came to be entertained in the evenings. And you can see the kind of tourists he was attracting. There's a wee pump house with the Brahma pumps inside. This is the 1840s, sort of just after the Regency period. So you see ladies in crinolines, and you see gentlemen in top hats and tailcoats, and they're walking around the leisure grounds at Spa. The assembly rooms. This is an example of the architecture inside, sort of Regency style. And these are the Regency type clothing that you would have seen the patrons wearing. This is the upstairs, this is the dance floor. All these features are original from the 1840s. Timbered ceiling, original slate fireplaces, full-length pier glasses, mirrors for the ladies to come along and admire their own dresses in. Then a sprung dance floor, and I'm standing taking the photograph. I'm standing on the bandstand, and if you wanted any eats, then next door to the ballroom was the kitchen. So here's the kind of dancings and line dancings and formation dancing that would have gone on in that room at that period. Here's another picture of Spa, this time in 1860. You see the assembly rooms, you see the maze in full swing. You see a pole in the centre of the maze. So as you were walking around the maze and got lost and couldn't find your way out, the one thing you could see was the pole. So you steered your way to the pole and rang the bell, and then someone would come and rescue you. Middle left, you see 3 pump houses. Only 2 of those survived, one for the iron well and one for the sulphur well. Here's one of the pump houses here. That's still existed from 1810, but it's wired off now and you can't get in, but it's still there. Right, so the tourist complex is developing. So the next thing you need is a propagandist to tell people that the facilities are available and what they can do for you. So they got Dr. Alexander Knox MD, and he wrote a guide to the Ballynahinch mineral waters in 1846, telling everybody what the attractions were on offer. As the character of this place has grown up, and he throws in a wee bit of Latin there, everything points to an increase in permanence of its reputation. So he thinks the place has a great future. It is dry, bracing mountain air at Spa because of its elevated situation. I didn't know that it was elevated. Quiet but cheerful retirement, excellent tonic and alternative waters. The favourable opinion of the neighbouring physicians. So he's saying that he approves of Spa being used for medical purposes, and other physicians do as well. And it's in the vicinity of Belfast, which is the metropolis of Ulster. So it's right handy to Belfast for invalids from Belfast who want to go there. So summing up, it's got bracing mountain air. Well, the nearest mountain would be Dunmore Mountain. Quiet, cheerful retirement, excellent tonic waters, and convenient to the Ulster metropolis. accommodation. Visitors are accommodated with lodgings in the houses of the farmers, which are annually improving. Hopefully by 1846 they didn't include fleas. The charges, of course, vary, but average from about 10 or 15 shillings to £2 or £3 a week. Additional accommodation is provided in a large and excellent hotel, lately erected in the town of Ballynahinch. Here is the excellent new hotel built in the 1840s by the Kers in Ballynahinch. Known as Walker's Hotel, the Kers would put in the capital to build the thing, then they would lease it to a landlord. So first of all it was Walker's, and later it was Macaulay's. So the Kers knew how to run a tourist resort. There wasn't hotel accommodation at Spa. They didn't build the hotel accommodation there, but they built it in Ballynahinch, where it would serve both Ballynahinch and Spa. How did you get to the Spa from Belfast or from farther afield in Ireland? The answer is you came by stagecoach. These celebrated springs are situated about 2 miles from Ballynahinch and nearly in the centre of County Down, 74 miles from Dublin if you want to come that far. The best point of approach for the stranger is start off from Belfast or Newry and get the stagecoach there. So I showed you Walker's Hotel in Ballynahinch, and that's where the stagecoach operated from. If you wanted to go farther afield to Banbridge or Belfast or Newry, that's where you got the stagecoach. And Walker's Hotel in Ballynahinch, on High Street, you'll see a great big gateway. And if you go through that gateway and down to the back of the hotel, you'll find that there's a big stable yard there lined with stables. So when you were running stagecoaches out of Walker's Hotel, you needed the stables for the extra horses for the stagecoach. And there's the kind of stagecoach that would have been operating to Belfast or Newry out of Ballynahinch. You paid a higher fare if you wanted to ride inside. It would be cheaper if you rode outside. The only catch with riding outside is it was colder, and if it rained, then you got rain. The stagecoaches didn't travel too fast, so it would take you a full day to get to Dublin from Belfast on a stagecoach. Now, as well as drinking the waters for the good of your health, you had to be entertained. You and your relatives had to be entertained. So you went off on excursions to Downpatrick, to the parish church at Hillsborough, or you go to see the beach at Newcastle, or the nice English village at Bransford, or the Seaford Domain, or Montalto in Ballynahinch, or Tullymore beside Bransford. So funny, in the 1840s, the attractions that the tourists went to are the same attractions that we go to today, like the parish church at Hillsborough. So the gentlemen, they would ride on horses, or the ladies and their parasols, they would ride on carriages. And all the venues that Dr. Knox mentioned are all within a day's travel from Spa and Ballynahinch. He says the old cathedral at Downpatrick, or the monastery at Saul, or the Inch Abbey or Grey Abbey, or at least Castle, or Dundrum Castle. So again, exactly the same tourist attractions that we still go to see in the 21st century. They were going to see in the 1840s, like Down Cathedral. That was it in 1858. Interesting thing was the tourists could go to Newcastle to see the beach, but there were no other facilities at Newcastle. Newcastle was still a village. So the thing was that Spa was the main tourist centre, and Newcastle was only a sideshow. So I tell you, that has been reversed in 100 years since. The other thing was that if you wanted, Newcastle was a fishing village then. So if you wanted fish to eat at Spa, then those fish would come from Newcastle. Or if you wanted to fish, you could go fishing in Loch Achray or Ballynahinch Loch Earn near Ballynahinch, and catch eel, perch, trout and pike. Now, he really gets stuck in now, and this is the advice that he gives to doctors on the kind of illnesses which can be treated at Spa. So he puts forward his own credentials, that he's the local GP in Ballycastle, where he looks after the dispensary, the fever hospital and the poorhouse, and that he used to be a Royal Naval doctor. So he says that in his book he gives the prescriptions for how you look after indigestion, gout, pulmonary consumption, and diseases of the chest, stomach and nervous system. So isn't it wonderful that all of these can be treated in Ballynahinch with simply by exposure to the Ballynahinch water. So he says that the diseases which are especially effectively treatment are atonic dyspepsia, whatever that is, and the other problem that Ballynahinch is good at treating is chronic diseases of the skin, which tend to relapse, but if they're used by the sulphur water of Ballynahinch, they can get a cure. And the cure consists of a prolonged residence at the Ballynahinch wells. So all the farmers who are letting out full board around Spa will be absolutely delighted to hear that Dr. Knox is prescribing a prolonged residence at Spa, especially for atonic forms of dyspepsia and in obstinate diseases of the skin. The best time to come to Spa to drink the waters was from May to September. If you came during the winter time, there was too much rain and it tended to dilute the effects of the minerals in the water. You had to stay for a month or maybe two. When you drank the water, you drank six beakers, and you did that at 20-minute intervals. So that was a lot of fluid that you were putting into yourself. You started in the morning at 8 o'clock and you started on an empty stomach. You took the first glass and you didn't swallow down quickly, you sipped it slowly. And then when you got the first glass down, you went for a walk around the maze or wherever. And then you come back 20 minutes later and you had another glass and you repeated that until you'd downed 6 glasses. And only then were you allowed to go off and have your breakfast. So you had to be fairly robust to stand the medical treatment in itself. Spa water was cold. It had a disagreeable smell, resembling the water used in scouring a foul gun. It had an odour of rotten eggs. So it didn't sound the most pleasant thing to put down your throat. Now, what's this business about a foul gun? In the days when you had muzzle loaders and you fired off gunpowder, after you fired the musket for about 10 times, the barrel started to become foul, and the gunpowder ash would obstruct the barrel. And what you had to do is boil water and pour it down the barrel of the musket. and wash out the gunpowder residue. So what the commentators are saying is that if you tasted the water as it came out of the gun barrel, well, that was the same taste that you got off the water at Spa. So I'm not sure that would... so what effect did it have on you? Some it vomits, you're warned. The nasty taste causes you to vomit. And then it could have explosive effects on the other end. Others, it purges. So, like I say, you had to be pretty fit before you embarked on a course of waters at the Spa. The quantity of this water commonly taken is from 3 pints to 3 quarts. Some it vomits, others it purges. But these effects seem to be only accidental. The chief operation is by the urine, as it would be if you keep pouring in six glasses of water every morning. But just to keep you busy, as well as regulating your urine, Dr. Knox recommended that you regulate your bowels, particularly by use of castor oil. But he shows some mercy that the castor oil is only to be used in small quantities. The tourist trade is taking off nicely at Spa, thanks to the adverts of Dr. Knox and the efforts of the Kers. But the tourism really takes off when they really reaches Ballynahinch in 1858. So that opens up Spa tourism to a much wider market. So what happens now is tourists start arriving from Belfast. They arrive on the train. When they get to Ballynahinch, they have to be transported to Spa. So the taxis would line up outside the railway station, ready to take you to wherever you wanted to go. So the taxis were horses and jarvies waiting at the railway station. And a one-way ticket to Spa with PJ Fitzpatrick would cost you one shilling in his jarvie. You take the passengers out first of all, and then they'd brought their luggage with them. There wouldn't be enough room for the luggage, so a second jarvie would have to come out to Spa loaded with the luggage. So here's Charlie McGee in his top hat and his jarvie delivering the luggage. The Church of Ireland had got a church for the benefit of their tourists in 1812. So now it was the turn of the Presbyterians. The thing was that if you got an increase of tourists from Belfast, then a lot of them were going to be Presbyterian. So one of the health tourists from Belfast was called Robert McQuiston, a prosperous Belfast merchant. So he thought it was a bad deal that Spa didn't have a Presbyterian church. So he endowed a new Presbyterian church at Spa in 1872. And if you go into Spa Presbyterian Church and sit in the back pew, then in the back pew is this unobtrusive little plaque, and it tells you that Robert McQuiston, Esquire, sat there, and that's the way of telling you that he's the man who put up the money to build Spa Presbyterian Church. Next thing, you got a hotel built. The Kers, they had owned the assembly rooms, but by 1900 the Kers are getting into financial difficulties. So they sold the assembly rooms, and it was bought by the Flynn family. Flynn spelled F-L-I-A-N-N, and the Flynns, they kept developing a spa, and they built a hotel. The hotel is now is still there. It's now spa nursing home, but it was originally built as a hotel. The Flynns decided that they wouldn't serve any alcohol, so it was the Elmwood Hotel at Spa, and it was a temperance hotel. So it was advertised as one of the finest inland hotels in the north of Ireland. Exquisite views, tennis and croquet, sulphur and iron springs, hot sulphur baths, and what do you think? Golf links. So an attraction now added at Spa was a golf links. So notice that by the 1900s, they're still relying on the sulphur and iron springs. So they haven't got off the idea yet that drinking the spa waters are good for you. But they have got onto the idea that getting into the waters and having a jacuzzi with hot sulphur baths, that's good for you. And the new Temperance Hotel will offer you those sulphur baths. And there is the new golf course right beside the new hotel. And here is somebody who's sampling the new hotel and the golf course in 1912. And I'm not sure where he lives, but he's been to Ballynahinch. Now he's in Sligo, and he's writing to his friend in Dublin, and he intends to go and see his friend in Dublin. So whoever he is, he's an invalid. Here I am on holidays, but ill with my old enemy. So he's one of those who are still going to Spa for the good of his health. And he's pretty wealthy, and he's mobile. So he's Ballynahinch 1 week, Sligo the next week, and it's going to be Dublin the week after that. So people who came to Spa had money to spend on their health and on their leisure. And here's the golfers in action. The male golfer on the left, he's familiar enough. The poor lady on the right-hand side, how do you fancy going around a golf course in that kit with a dress right down to your ankles? But she's making a good attempt. The iron well was still going, and you had a footman in attendance in livery with silver buttons on his jacket and a silk top hat. So the water's still in demand. And Spa now acquired its resident poet. And this was a lady called Amanda McKittrick Ross, who didn't belong at Spa. She was actually born in Drummoness, and she came to live in Ballynahinch. She was a Presbyterian, and she attended Macher Hamlet Presbyterian Church on that side of the town. So she wrote novels, and she wrote poetry, and she had this to say about Spa. The prettiest little spot on earth ere mortal ever saw is a mile or so from Ballynahinch and called by name the Spa. A health resort of diamond type where springs abound galore. Once drink these crystal tonics, you'll ask for nothing more. Now here there winds a labyrinth, that's the maze, so intricate and queer, within you must not enter if possessed by any fear. The more you try your exit, the deeper gets the lair. The Spa is bounded by the north by an hotel of old, but since its second baptism, hydro it's called, I'm told. So what she's saying is they've introduced the jacuzzis at the new Temperance Hotel. And she warns you that it is a temperance hotel. For whiskey, wine, or brandy, to get these you would pinch, you'll have to tramp to Walker's, an hotel in Ballynahinch. The new hotel was inflexibly a temperance hotel. That's Amanda there in her prime. And that was Walker's Hotel in Ballynahinch. She calls it Walker's. Later on, it was called Macaulay's. And talking about poetry, Macaulay's Hotel in Ballynahinch, someone wrote a poem about it. Come all ye sons of honest toil, and a story I'll convoy. When I was young and full of fun, I worked for Macaulay. This gentleman the neighbours ken in Ballynahinch doth dwell. He owns a hearse and a mooring coach, and he keeps a large hotel. And a public house in Drummondess where boozers love to stay, where John McCann and the working man drink porter for their tea.
Come all ye sons of honest toil, and a story I'll convey. When I was young and fond of fun, I worked for Macaulay. This gentleman the neighbours ken, and Ballynahinch doth dwell. He owns a horse and a morning coach, and he keeps a large hotel. And a public house in Drummondess, where boozers love to stay, where John McCann and the working man drink porter for their tea. There I plowed the field and sowed the seed and cut the corn and hay. And with John McCann and the working man drank porter for me tea. Next before the magistrate to take a gallant stand, to kiss the book and take the oath was the famous John McCann. The magistrate laid down his pen before he named a fine, and asked if you could keep the stout for the workman's day. Why do you keep the wine? The court to this in silence hushed. Then up spoke Macaulay. There's many a time we need the wine to frame the workman's day. But now I toil on foreign soil, a teetotaler for to say, while the working man in my own town land drink porter for their
If you are developing a tourist resort, then you're going to need postcards. So the local Ballynahinch entrepreneurs said, well, what kind of postcards should we have for Ballynahinch? What's famous about Ballynahinch? The battle. So here in August 1910, W.G. Baird, the printers of the Belfast Telegraph, they come up with a representation of the Battle of Ballynahinch and put it on a postcard. So it says on the postcard, arrived here safely, nice quiet place, have not been out to spa yet. So that's a tourist who's come to Ballynahinch and is staying both in Ballynahinch as a tourist and intends to go to Spa as a tourist. And here's another postcard. When you look on the back of it, it says it's printed by Valentine's in Dublin, but it's published by R.B. Bailey, Ballynahinch. So R.B. Bailey was the secretary of Eden Grove Presbyterian Church at that stage. He also ran a newspaper shop on High Street opposite the square, and in fact that newspaper shop is still going, of course, under newer management. So R.B. Bailey, being the news agent, decided to get Ballynahinch in Dublin to put his name on the postcard, and he became part of the franchise. So that postcard says, "Some fair days during these holidays. Don't be working too hard. It is too hot." So this is August 1917. So if you came to Ballynahinch, you would depend on having good weather. So August 1917, the weather was good. In fact, it was too good. It was too hot. Notice that this is when the Second World War is at its height in August 1917. So war or no war, you still get tourists coming and staying in Ballynahinch. What are the other attractions of Ballynahinch to put on postcards? Well, what about the local manses? So these manses are much changed. Third Presbyterian manses is demolished. The Methodist manse is no longer owned by the Methodists. First Presbyterian manse, it's been demolished and redeveloped. But there you are. That was the kind of postcards that that tourists to Ballynahinch bought. Now that postcard was published by Jonathan Unsworth. So Jonathan was a photographer. So first of all, he took the photographs himself, and then he found a printer to put the photographs onto a postcard. Jonathan's son, Tom, was the Ballynahinch pharmacist, and his grandson, Wesley, was the Ballynahinch dentist. A colour postcard of Ballynahinch, again at the height of World War I, and worth looking at the detail bottom left there. You see in Dromore Street that is you see the corn market at the rear of the houses in Dromore Street, and you see that tree on Dromore Street. I think that's where Ballynahinch fire station was built eventually. And here's the writing on the bag: "Dear Mrs. H, just a card from Ballynahinch, lovely day." So in the middle of the war, you still wanted a holiday, and you depended on good weather on the 10th of June. Looking, the tourist industry at Spa kept going between the wars, after World War I and before World War II. So here we are in May 1928, and someone sends a postcard that says, "Our room is marked X." So that's the room at the first floor room on the right. Comments: I hope it is not too wet in town, because certainly it's wet in Ballynahinch. We have not been out at all. However, there's a jolly crowd in the hotel, so they're having a good time. And that postcard is published again by R.B. Bailey on the square in Ballynahinch. Coming close to the end of Spa as a tourist venue. Now we're hitting August 1939. So on the 3rd of September 1939, World War II breaks out. But here we have the Temperance Hotel still operating as a hotel and operating as a hydro. So you still come and get into a bath and enjoy the sulphur in the water. So that was 5th of August. World War II began on the 3rd of September, and but no clouds in the sky so far as the tourist was concerned. lovely weather, sun and blue skies. We're very busy with no notion that that the very next month World War II would break out. During World War II, the American troops were based in the assembly rooms, and they used one pump house as an isolation ward. It didn't survive the war, so that's why there's only one pump house left. The golf course at Spa disappeared. It was moved to the other side of the Montalto estate, so now it's up in Ballynahinch townland. But you see that things got easier for the ladies. They didn't have to wear ankle-length dresses anymore. They were able to play golf better in calf-length dresses, still at the Elmwood course. When Spa ceased to be a tourist resort, then the assembly rooms were sold. So they were sold to the Masonic Lodge. So this was the ground floor reading room in the assembly rooms. So now it's used as a meeting place for the Spa Masons. There was a brave attempt to revive the Spa waters in 1994, recorded in the Morn Observer. And the idea was to get the Spa waters, put them in a bottle, and with health and safety, you couldn't ask anybody to drink the stuff. They drank it in the 1800s, but they weren't going to drink Spa water in the 1900s. In the 1900s, it's having the taste of a fouled gun. One long-term resident of Spa, Willie Brown, thought he would put Spa water into an aerosol, and what the ladies would do was then spray it on their faces. So it would be a skin tonic. So he got round the idea of poisoning anybody by drinking this stuff. So instead they would spray the tonic water on their faces. So he packaged the stuff and put adverts on it that the healing and cosmetic qualities of the Spa waters have been renowned since the early 18th century, when the nobility and gentry travelled from many arts and parts seeking cures. So this is going beautifully until Pond's, who make cold cream, caught on that he was marketing mineral waters to spray on your face. So they had already patented that. So they told Willie that he was infringing their patent, and could he stop? So that was the end of a brave attempt in the 1990s to still market the Spa waters. So nothing left then really of the tourist industry at Spa. But again, a piece of good luck. Out at Echo Hall, now owned by Harvey Bicker, Harvey decided to make an authentic replica of one of the pump houses. And better than that, he installed, the pumps had fallen down the wells in the pump houses. So he rescued them, got them hauled out of the well, and installed them in the pump house that he had built. So they no longer deliver water, but they are authentic techniques, authentic antiques, and they've been rescued for posterity. So very neat move to preserve them and put them into authentic surroundings. So there you see the pump when Mrs. Palmer was dispensing water in the 1840s, and it's still in pristine condition after 200 years. We're fortunate that the original pumps have been preserved. and they are housed within this replica of one of the 3 original pump houses. So Harvey Bicker had the inspired thought of commissioning a replica pump house, and he rescued the 2 pumps which had dropped down into the old wells, built the replica pump house and installed the 2 antique pumps inside. And these are safe for posterity in Harvey's back garden at Echo Hall at Spa. So that's nearly all I'm going to tell you, and here is Amanda McKittrick-Ross again telling you what Spa was like in its heyday. Now buck up, sickly sinners throughout this Isle of Saints. Repair to where such bracing air will stop your grave complaints. Your souls are soothed on Sundays by sermons, choice and rare. Your lungs are fed on weekdays with rarest, purest air. Your mind becomes a bower of ease and goodly thought. Your strength will increase daily, which is why the Spa you sought. So that's the last words from Spa, and it's good luck from Amanda and good luck from Spa.
Thank you.